Good day, everybody. Paul from Audience View Ticketing here. Today I have Russ Ashby with me. He's going to be presenting, this was something that he presented on at AVConnect 2014 in Phoenix, more money per order. Russ is a product manager here at Audience View and has been with us for quite some time and is very knowledgeable in the product, so this should be a very good presentation. If you do have questions throughout the presentation, as always, please submit them in the Music GoToMeeting application, and we'll answer those as they come up. So with that, I'm turning it over to Russ.
Thanks, Paul. And thanks for putting the pressure on by saying this is going to be a very good presentation. So as Paul said, this is a presentation that I did in AVConnect in Phoenix in Arizona earlier in the year. And at that point, because it was mainly an American and Canadian audience, we called it more dollars per order. And to make it a little bit more international, we decided to call it more money per order in a very clever way. So the objectives for this session today are really to give you an overview of the features that we have to deliver more money per order in Audience View, some best practices for configuration and reporting, and I wanted to start creating a bit of a feedback loop around this feature set really, and it's kind of pertinent that we're talking about this now because we are going through a little bit of a process of thinking about how we might want to redesign the online in the future and the workflow around it. So I do want to hear back from you what's working for you with the add-ons and recommendations and upsell functionality, whether you've tried to use it and failed either to configure it very well or to fail to drive any increased revenue at all, and where do we need to improve the product to help you drive more money per order. So a little bit about me. As Paul said, I'm a product manager at Audience View. I've been with Audience View since January 2006. So a long period of community service, as I might call it, and I'm mainly responsible for analytics and CRM within the application. And you can contact me at russell@audienceview.com, or if you're one of the few people that uses Google+, you can reach me at that address there. And I'm currently based in Bristol in the UK, although since working for Audience View I've been in London and in Dublin and in Toronto, and I'm back in Bristol and already thinking about where else to live. So I just want to go through a little bit of the terminology that I'm going to use in this session. So an upsell for me is a method that we use to encourage a customer to purchase a different, more profitable item. So the key thing there is it may not be a higher value item, it's just something that's more profitable for my business that I can use to drive more profit on the order. And then we have cross-selling, which we call an add-on in Audience View, but I guess the more sales term is cross-selling. So that's a method to encourage the customer to purchase a complementary item. So that's complementary with an E and not an I. So basically I'm trying to encourage the customer to buy something in addition on the order to their main product. And before I start, I wanted to just give you an upsell opportunity that worked for me. And when we moved to Bristol last year, I was thinking of places to take my daughter, who's on the left there, not the right, and we decided we'd take her to Bristol Zoo. And I was looking online at their ticket prices, and I saw this kind of upsell placement that they had here. So what they're saying here is if you become a member within 7 days of visiting, we'll refund the cost of your entrance, and this means that the annual membership will pay for itself after just 3 visits. And that worked for me. Once we went to the zoo, we immediately took them up on that offer, and it worked for me because the timing was good. It was a try before you buy offer. And the other key thing for me was the benefits were clearly described to me. So if they hadn't put that text about how it was financially viable because it was going to pay for itself within 3 visits, I may not have gone to the bother of trying to work out whether it was financially viable for me at all. And for the Bristol Zoo business, I kind of guess that it's more profitable for them to sell me a membership because we have a thing in the UK called gift aid, which is just a way of reclaiming tax back on a donation or a membership. And they would be able to drive more gift aid revenue through a membership. It's a higher value item to begin with. And then because it's a membership, I'm going to be going back over multiple times over a period of a year. So I'm going to be buying merchandise, I'm going to be spending money on food and drink and doing other in-venue purchases. So it's all going to increase the profit for that business. And before I did this session, I took the time to look at a bunch of kind of more sales-orientated webinars and websites, and there are really kind of three reasons that a salesperson would say to you why you would be doing upselling and cross-selling to customers. Firstly, you can generate growth for your business, so you're generating more profit on your orders, and your cost for sale is staying the same. So when you generate more profit, you're going to get more money to spend on customer acquisition to grow your business. And then you have increased customer satisfaction as well, which is a little bit of an odd one in a way, because you generally think of cross-selling and upselling as a little bit of an irritation, like when you go onto an airline's website and you get like being sold insurance for your tickets, or travel insurance, or try and sell you a suitcase or something like that. And this thing is kind of an irritant, but there is a way that you can use upsells to sell customers what they might want. The examples they give that you might be buying a suit or something like that, and you walk into the suit shop and you're thinking about buying the cheapest suit on sale, but then the guy tries to sell you an Armani suit or something like that, and you're thinking, actually, it's going to make me feel better about myself, so I'm going to buy the more profitable item for the business. And the other example here is that it can protect or enhance your relationship with the customer by selling them something, in quotes there, sticky. So that means you might be selling them a membership or a season ticket, and the customer is going to have repeat attendance with you, which is going to enhance your relationship over time, and they're going to be spending more money with you over that period. So in Audience View, we have a number of opportunities to do upsells and cross-selling and different ways of positioning products to the customers. So we have upsell articles, add-on articles, recommendations, suggested donations. We actually have the article content itself, so you can just put the positioning of products within the articles. Then we have additional information on the product, so that's another article we can configure on the product. And we have the customer creation email as well, which I put in a question mark there because I'm not sure that everybody knows about that feature. So you can configure in Audience View that when a customer creates an account online, they will receive a email sent to their email address, and it will describe for them like their username or something like that. And there's an opportunity for you to position products to them at that point. So you might say, did you know about our membership scheme? Did you know you can buy dinner packages and things like that? And then we have the confirmation email, which is sort of like a post-purchase upsell or cross-sell opportunity. And again, these things are a little bit more difficult to configure in Audience View. It requires you to have a little bit of knowledge of the template system, but it is an opportunity for you to position products to sell to the customer. So again, you could say after the customer has purchased tickets for something, then you could say to them that there are dinner packages available or hotel deals and things like that. And featured articles as well, so you can position content around the page. And email marketing as well is a cross-sell and upsell opportunity. When a customer buys tickets for your event, you could send them an email maybe 3 days later to remind them about dinner packages or car parking availability. Or I guess you could also consider to do an upsell or a cross-sell maybe 3 days after they've attended the event and say to them, did you enjoy the performance? Thank you for coming. Did you know that merchandise was still available for this performance? Or are you interested in other performances which are similar? I grabbed this screenshot from the Arts Amazon website. I thought it was a good example of how you might use featured articles to drive upsells. So this is almost like a sort of shop window approach where the performance isn't yet on sale to non-members. So I come in here as like the general public, and I get to see the product that's available for sale. I'm told clearly that it's not yet available to me, but they're using featured article content here to say that it's on sale to members only, and if you're not a member, why not become a member? And just like that Bristol Zoo example, is explaining to me the benefits of becoming a member. So it's telling me the price, it's telling me what the benefits are, that they get a free ticket, and there's no ticket or order fees. And it's giving me the clear call to action there to become a member. And this is what I call the opportunity timeline. So this is kind of all the different bits of features within Audience View and the different points where you can position products to customers. So before the customer purchases something or selects something to purchase, you can put article content on the page. And as they select it, you've got the upsell article that you can present to the customer. As they click through to the shopping cart, then we can position add-ons to the customer. And on the cart itself, we've got recommendations and suggested donations when they choose to continue. And I think also that delivery methods are a kind of an upsell or a cross-sell opportunity, because you may have certain delivery methods which are more profitable for you. So you might be selling, you might have a delivery method which is special delivery, you might have a bit of a markup on that particular delivery method, and you could position that to customers to get them to go for that more profitable option. And we have the customer creation email as well, which I talked about earlier. And then on the payment screen, I also think that payment methods are a potential way of driving more profit for your orders. So you may have more profitable relationships with certain acquirers. So you might promote the Visa payment method, or you might have a website dedicated entirely to Visa sales. And then again, I talked about this earlier, so we have these post-sale options of email marketing and the email confirmation. So let's delve into a few little best practices for upsell and add-ons. I know Darren pointed at a session on this about a month or so ago. There's a little bit of overlap here, but there are some new things in here that he didn't show you during that session. So my general guidance for configuring upsells and add-on is to use the sales type field for easy filtering. So let me just jump into audience view to point out what I'm talking about. Okay, so on most of the products with an audience view, you have this sales type field, so you can indicate what type of product it is. And this particular product I'm going to sell as an add-on, so I would choose to mark it as an add-on. And what I would do is I would use that within the filters of my article content to say I only want to show this type of product on that page. Or the better scenario would be actually I want to just filter out add-ons from the main content page. So when I go into the landing page of the online, I don't want to show products of the sales type of add-on on this page. So that's a fairly obvious one. And then I think my other bit of guidance here is that I spend a bit of time trying to work out how I would report best on sales that resulted as a result of the customer seeing an add-on or an upsell article within the online. And I failed a little bit. I'll show you a little bit later on how I achieved a little bit of reporting here, but I think really the best practice at the moment is to actually create separate products. So if you're selling a dinner package or something like that as an add-on, then it's probably best to create a separate product for the add-on, and if you're selling it through a more general miscellaneous item flow, then you'd create a separate product for that, and then you'd be able to report on which products were sold as a result of an add-on that way. I don't think that's ideal by any means, and certainly as I look at the redesign of the online flow, I'll be looking at ways that we can measure this a little bit better so you can start reporting on the return on investment of your add-ons and upsells. My other bit of guidance is to just change the labels within Audience View. The stock labels that come around the recommendations and add-ons and suggested donations don't really sell the products that well, and I think you should spend a lot of time thinking about how you're going to position these products to customers, so change those labels within the application. So this is the thing that Darren didn't show you in his session a few weeks ago, and it's really it's good practice if you have a lot of product that you're selling through upsells or add-ons. And you don't particularly want to start creating hundreds and hundreds of articles for hundreds and hundreds of products. So there's a way that you can create one article that changes the content of that article based on the product that's being selected. And it's by using what we call context. And I'll come back to that horizontal and vertical widgets recommendation in a second. So really what will happen here is that I'll select a product and add it to the order. And what I want to happen is I want to produce an add-on article, and I want to change the content of that article based on the product that's being added to the order. And like I said, it's called article context. And so I'm just going to jump over to Audience View and show you how I've configured this. So the first thing you have to do is work around a bug in 6.3, and this has been fixed a bit later in version 6.8 and 7. So you have to supply a default context to your add-on article. And this default context isn't really going to do anything beyond, when I click on the text tab here, expose this field called insert context field. So you don't have to worry about what performance or product that you choose here, you just have to know that you have to specify a default context to turn on this field. And context fields are basically saying I'm going to pull data from the product that I'm adding to the order. Things like here I've added the short description of the product and the start date of the product. And within the body of this article I'm also outputting a search widget. And I've used criteria to limit what appears in that search widget. So I'm basically saying here output products which are of add-on sales type, where the object type is miscellaneous item. And this is the thing that drives the matching of the content here. I'm saying that data1 match condition context equals, which doesn't make any grammatical sense, but I'm going to show you how it makes some kind of feature sense in a second. So what I'm basically saying here is show in the article search widget products which have the same value in data1 as the product that I'm adding to the order. So let me go into venue configuration. So here's my primary product, as I call it. It's the product that I'm going to add to the order. And here I've got in data1, I'm actually using the performance code. And then I'm going to jump over to my add-on product. So this is a dinner package which I'm selling through a miscellaneous item, and it's got the same value in data1. And I could jump over and show you a different performance. So completely different performance, and I've done the same thing. I've put the performance code in data1, and I've got a product for that performance, which has got the performance code of Billy in data1 here. So I'm joining in the miscellaneous item essentially with the primary product, the performance. So it's a single article which I've configured on both performances. I'll just prove that, like a magician proving his magic trick. So here's my add-on article. It's the add-on dynamic article. And if I go over to my Wizard of Oz performance, it's the same add-on article here. So now when I go online, I'll just refresh this page. So I'm going to pick this Wizard of Oz product and add it to the order. Here's the article. The content has been pulled from the primary performance, so it's saying the short description and the date of the performance, and it's only showing me miscellaneous items that have the same value in data1 as the performance. So I'll add that to the order. And head back to my Billy Elliot performance. Okay, so it's the same article. The content has been changed, so the short description has changed at the top here, and the performance date has changed, and the search results have changed as well based on the primary product that's being added to the order. So like I said, it's a way, if I've got lots and lots of product which I'm trying to position to customers through upsell or add-ons, and I don't want to configure lots and lots of articles for them, there is a way for me just to create one single article and change the content per product that's being added to the order. Okay, so what I was saying as well is I think probably the best way to position products within the articles themselves is to use the horizontal and vertical widgets that look a lot nicer than the standard search result widget within the article pop-up. Okay, now if I got limited product, you've got a little bit more options here in terms of, like, you could build articles per product, and then you're going to build, you might put actually just manual URL links within those articles. So one of the best practices here, and actually it's kind of a required practice more than anything, because your online will look really bad if you don't do it, is that you should use the target parameter within your HTML link on the email. And I'll show you what happens when you don't do that, because I saw a few Audience View clients configured this way when I had a look around a few online. So if I cancel this order, oops, that's the wrong one. Okay, so there's two links here, and in this example, really, in kind of real-world example, I'd be configuring maybe a picture of a car parking ticket or something like that within the actual article content. But this is a link where it doesn't have the target set, and you see what happens is the target hasn't been set, so the actual add-on flow, the miscellaneous workflow, is being positioned within the frame itself, the article frame. So the way to ensure that doesn't happen is that you configure your links and you make sure that the link, for this one that works, has the parameter here of target equals underscore parent, which means in technical terms that it actually loads within the main frame of the window and not within the article frame itself. So less of a good practice and more of a required practice to make sure your online looks good. So one way that you could track the performance of your add-ons or upsells is to use link name tracking within your links that you create. So what link name tracking will do, and I'll demonstrate it as well. So I create a link name in my links by doing build link here, using the link builder, and I'm going to point it to my miscellaneous item, and then I would give it a link name. And that will insert the link, and it will also insert the link name within the link. I've done it already, so we'll see what happens when I use this add-on. Okay, so this is going to take me to the miscellaneous item, and if I take a look at the URL at the top of the page, you can see that we've got this extra set of parameters here called session security link name equals odds.add add-on. And what it does is it puts the link in the session, and that link will continue until the customer creates the order online, and it will be saved against the order. And I can use the BI then to generate some kind of basic reporting on that add-on's performance. So I have one created already. So this is just an orders BI. And if I look at the criteria, the criteria is basically whether create audit correspondence detail link name matches the word Oz. That's the only link that I have configured. And I'm just outputting the order number, the customer's last name, the link name itself, and then I've got the order grand total. So that will show me then orders which have been created where this link name was set in the session. Now it's highly possible that the customer could go online, follow the article link, get to the miscellaneous item detail page where they go to select the actual product and decide that they're not going to do it that way, but the link name will have been set in the session, which will give you some kind of irrelevant results, but it's probably enough to establish a trend here in terms of your return on your investment. Is this add-on or is this upsell actually driving any revenue? Well, like I said, I think there are ways that we can do it better, and I think probably supporting it a little bit better in the core product through establishing relationships with products will help us report on return on investment in the future a little bit better. Okay, now if you're selling in the desktop as well, and there is an example of a client in the UK called Key Tickets who started selling restaurant sales through add-ons in the desktop, and they drove something like a 96% increase in the sales of those restaurant bookings. So it can be a very powerful way of just making sure there's a call to action in the desktop for your box office users to prompt them to ask the customer whether they would like this add-on or not. And if you're selling in the desktop, the article is shared on the product. So the same article will be used in the online as in the desktop. And it means that the links that you've hard-coded into that article will only work if you generate those links a certain way. So if I generate them just through the link builder, through the kind of standard way, those links will only work in the online. And I can show you that here. So this is the kind of standard way of generating the link, and if I click on that link in the desktop, it's not going to work. It's just going to give me a 404 error because it's designed only to work in the online. So if I want an article to work both in the desktop and the online, I need to use the link tag functionality. So I have one here. So if I go to build my link to my miscellaneous item, click on my miscellaneous item, and then I'm going to choose this option instead, this link tag. And I do insert link tag. And that will generate a link that will work both in the desktop and the online for the same article. There is a limitation, unfortunately, with using link tags, and it's a little bit more of a bug than limitation, which I want to get fixed at some point, is that I can't use a link name in a link tag. Like I said, I'll try and look at fixing that in the future, which eliminates the possibility of doing the reporting, which I used in that second bullet point there. Okay, so that's best practices for upsell and add-ons. Let's take a quick look at recommendations. There are some rules with how recommendations work on the shopping cart and in My Account. So there's two places where recommendations will appear. They'll appear on the shopping cart in the online, and you can configure recommendations to appear in the My Account page of the customer. And recommendations are just feature articles. So you can put whatever content you want within that feature article. And the rules are that the shopping cart recommendations will match keywords on the product that's being added to the shopping cart to keywords on the feature articles. And it only works for certain products. So if you add a stored value or a product to the order, then the recommendations functionality doesn't work for those types of products. And it will also match any keywords that are stored on the customer record to those same article keywords as well. And My Account, when I go into the maintain account function on the online, it will only show articles which are related to the customer keywords. So I have a recommendation here, because one of the problems that you have with recommendations is that you don't really want to recommend the same product to the customer that they just added to their order. It makes you look a bit stupid, and it's possible that the customer may decide, you're making me look an idiot, I'm just going to cancel my whole cart anyway. So what you want to try and do is avoid doing that, and the one way of doing that is to try and use what I call granular keywords against the products. So let me just flip over to the next slide here to make this make a bit more sense. So if I use what I call non-granular keywords, so maybe I've got a keyword of musicals, and I've got 3 events here. So I've got Wizard of Oz, I've got Billy Elliot, and I've got Phantom of the Opera. And I put the same keyword on all of those. I say they're all related, they're all musicals. What will happen is when I add the Wizard of Oz to the shopping cart, it will look through and it will match those keywords against the Billy Elliot article, the Phantom of the Opera article, and the Wizard of Oz article. So we'll recommend to the customer Wizard of Oz again. So one way to avoid that is to use granular keywords. So instead of putting musicals against my Wizard of Oz, I'm actually going to recommend specific products through the keywords. So I'm going to put Billy keyword against Wizard of Oz and Phantom against Wizard of Oz. And what will happen then is that only Billy Elliot and Phantom of the Opera will be recommended to the customer. Now, if you are using customer keywords, I think my advice would be then to use more generic keywords against the customer. So let me just show you what I mean by that. Let me go and cancel my shopping cart. So I'm going to buy Wizard of Oz again. So I've used the granular keyword. So I've got a keyword of Billy and a keyword of Phantom against Wizard of Oz. And in Audience View, I will show you my feature articles. So here's my recommendation for Billy, and it's got a keyword just of Billy against it. My recommendation for Phantom has just got Phantom. And then when I look at the actual product itself, Wizard of Oz, I just have Billy and Phantom as the keywords here. So when I get to the shopping cart, I'm not being recommended Wizard of Oz again. Now I do have keywords against the customer records. Up here. So I've got a keyword of musicals against the customer. And I have a single feature article called musicals, and it's got the musicals keyword against that. So when I log in, I can see this, I get this all musicals feature article being recommended to me here. And then when I go to the shopping cart, I've still got Billy Elliot and Phantom, and I've got this kind of this more generic feature article of all musicals, and that would have a link to a page which would show me all musicals that I'm selling on Audience View. And I don't think doing that way wouldn't matter so much, that if I clicked through all musicals and it showed me Wizard of Oz within that page, it wouldn't matter so much because the customers, and they clearly indicated they have intention to look at all musicals on the system there. So that's how recommendations work. I think my other recommendation here is to start it from the beginning. That's handy. So limit the number of recommendations that's done through the registry, through business objects, TS Content BO, site recommended quantity. I would suggest you don't really want anything more than like 4 or 5 recommendations appearing on the shopping cart. You can sort the recommendations, so they will sort based on the article rank, the highest first. So if you've got 150, we'll put the article that's 100 first. And I also think you should change the label for sure here, so you can justify your choices to the customer, which is a good kind of sales practice. So not necessarily use the kind of default stock label there of we recommend. You could go the whole hog and choose the kind of Amazon route here and say customers who bought this item also purchased and then recommend those products. And that may not entirely be true, but you may have done the research in the back end using the BI to work out what other people are buying. But there's no kind of algorithm behind the system working this out dynamically in the shopping cart. And then I would say use the CSS to highlight the recommendations area, because in the stock online it's not highlighted that well to customers. The text is a little bit small. So you can see in my online I spend a little bit of time just using the CSS to call out the whole area, make it a bit clearer, increase the size of the text here, and then each of these articles I've used a bit of CSS to make them styled differently, with the color, increase the size of the text as well. So really, because the recommendations can fall a little bit below the fold on some resolutions or browsers, you want to do your best to kind of highlight it as much as possible to customers. Okay, and lastly, suggested donations. And I think for suggested donations, we really want to try and keep it as simple as possible. And you can configure the suggested donation per product, and you can recommend an amount. And I think my recommendation would always be to align the amount that you're recommended in the suggested donation to whatever is the parent product price. And there's a good example, I think it's the University of Minnesota, who were doing suggested donations during their renewal period, and customers were buying or renewing their season tickets, and they were spending like $1,000 to renew their season ticket. And they sold around 1,300 suggested donations in 12 months. They were only asking for $15 or $25, and the average give was around $43. So you can see that if the value of the primary product is a lot higher, you can ask for a little bit more, and you may be surprised by what customers give you. But if the value of your product is a lot less, so maybe the value of the product is only $20, then you need to think about maybe just asking for a lot smaller donation. So the configuration per product is a new feature, probably added in version 6, I think. If we go to funds management. So you can control which role receives a suggested donation, but you can also say, I just want to suggest this donation for these performances or these bundles or this miscellaneous items. You can have lots of suggested donations configured, and then think about how much you're going to ask per primary product that's on the order for those suggested donations. And that is everything that I have in my best practices. So, Paul, do we have any questions at all?
Like I said, it was going to be a good presentation, so you were very thorough and no questions. And actually, I'm going to follow up a little bit on that Minnesota. We've done a little more digging into it over what they've done since implementing that donor pop-up. And actually, during the renewal period, their average give is $58.50, and their ask is $25. So you can see just turning on that simple donor pop-up can lead to some pretty good results for them and for your organization as well. But with that, Russ, I don't think we have anything further. Oh, it looks like we may have got something. Nope. Just some feedback that we can take away. Any final parting words, Russ?
Yeah, like I said, I'm thinking about redesigning this flow. So if you want to give me your feedback on what you think is working and what isn't working, and what improvements you think could be made to this flow, then drop me an email, and I'll open up a thread on AVConnect as well that people can contribute to.
Excellent. With that, we'll sign off then. Until next week, thank you for joining us with another AVConnect Hangout.